Welcome back, everyone. Our final topic in our Android app course is going to be about persistent data. Here is what that means. We use persistent data to store input from one screen in an app to be used to create output on another screen in an app. Now, ideally, to get to more advanced apps, you're using a database to do this, like SQLite. We're not going to be using a database this time, but I'll show you the other way to do it. So in this project I'm showing you, here we have on our main activity page 6 widgets. I have a text view here. I have 3 number text boxes. I have a button, and I have an image view. But once again, I did not drag and drop any of these into the component tree. I created them in the XML code. The only thing I did in the component tree was to convert my layout from a constraint layout to a relative layout. So let's look at the XML code right now. Okay, as you can see, here is the text view at the very top of the screen. Here is the first of 3 number text boxes. Here's the second of 3. And here is the third of 3. Once again, please consult the Chapter 11 PowerPoint slides to get the full rundown of the code and other instructions you will need. Then here is the button with its attributes, and here is the image view. Okay. Now, in the strings.xml, you will need 7 resources in here. There are your 7 resources, which are also in the Chapter 11 PowerPoint slides. Okay. Now, you will also need to put 4 images in the drawable folder. There are 2 of them. There are the other 2. Those 4 images must go into the drawable folder. Now, as far as the Java code for the main activity, as you can see, I am creating 3 variables at the start of the class before the onCreate method. Within the onCreate method, I am creating objects for the 3 text boxes to begin with. And then, since we're using persistent data, I must create a shared preferences object. Now, you'll notice when I create this object, I'm calling this method, which has a line through it. When a method has a line through it, that usually means it's being deprecated or phased out, but it still works for our purposes. So go ahead and use that method even though it has a line through it. And then I also create the button object. And of course, after the button object, we have our setOnClickListener method. So let's look at that. Within this setClickListener method, I am giving the 3 variables I declared values from the number text boxes. We're using the parse methods to convert from string to the right type. And we are also using the getText and toString methods to retrieve the data from the boxes to get them into the variables. After this, I create a shared preferences editor in this way. And then I'm using these various put functions to take the values that are contained in the variables and associate them with keys. This is how we do persistent data in Android Studio. You associate a value you want to keep onto the next page with a key, which must be a text string. In this case, since there are 3 keys, we'll just name them key 1, key 2, and key 3. Then you must call the commit method to be sure that the keys and their values are locked in. And then after all that is finished, we're going to call the start activity method to go to the next page, which is the payment activity. That's everything for the main activity. Now, in the payment screen, all I have here is two text views, one of which is the title, the other of which will contain the monthly payment. That we have to calculate. And finally, an image view here at the bottom of the screen. Once again, I used XML to create all these. I did not drag and drop anything. Here is the XML for the payment screen. As you can see, once again, I converted to a relative layout. And then here is my first text view. Here is the second text view. And finally, here is the image view. Now, although typing in XML code can be a little tedious and take some time, I have noticed by using these two attributes, the layout below attribute and the layout center horizontal attribute, it seems to make the display line up much nicer and cleaner than just trying to drag and drop and move things over and hope everything lines up right. So there is a hidden benefit of typing things into the XML code. Okay, let's look at the Java code. So the Java code for the payment window goes like this. Go right to the onCreate method. Here we create a text view object for the monthly payment. We also create an image view object. This image view object is going to get a different image placed into it depending on how many years this car loan is for. Once again, we create a shared preferences object, and you have to use another method that looks like it has a line through it, but go ahead and use it. Now then, at this point, we create two more variables here. And now to get values into these variables, we're going to use the get functions that we use the keys to get the values associated with those keys into these variables. Now, if the key doesn't exist or we can't find the value, by default, we'll put a 0 into those variables. But this is how we're using persistent data. With the keys we defined, on the previous page, we are going to now retrieve that data and use it on the second page. There's the third one. We had 3 keys originally. And then here we calculate what the monthly payment will be. Here is the formula for that. And then here's our decimal format object. We're going to create a format object whose name is currency to properly display the money amounts. Once that's done, here we are going to use the setText method to display the actual monthly payment in its proper format. And then, depending on how many years the loan is for, we're going to display the corresponding image in the image view on this page. If the user types in anything besides 3, 4, or 5 years, we're just going to display a straight text message that just says, do it right, in effect. Okay, that is everything for the code. It is now time to run the project, and I will bring you back when that's ready. And we are back, and here is the app up and running. So let's put some data in here. I'll say 3 years. Let's say the car loan amount is $25,000, and I'll use an interest rate in decimal form. I'll say 0.03 for 3% interest. All right, now I'll click the button, and here is my monthly payment calculated. And also here is the image for a 3-year loan. I'll hit the back button and change this to 4 years. Monthly payment over 4 years, there's the 4-year loan image. I'll go back and change it to 5 years. And there's the monthly payment on a 5-year loan with the 5-year loan image. Finally, I'll say 6 years. And I get the message that's saying we only do 3, 4, or 5-year loans here. That is how you do persistent data in Android Studio. As always, if you have any questions, please send me an email at kmuldrow@lbcc.edu.